What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the NBA Betting Show here on the middle of January, kind of the middle of the NBA season. We're going to have All-Star Weekend coming up. It's that kind of in-between time, right, Noops, where, like, the NBA Cup is done, right? We still got a long way to go. NFL playoffs are in full swing, but that doesn't mean we can't earn some money here, and the NBA models are smoking hot. So we got Noops, we got Speeds, the Spitting Statistician here for an edition of the NBA Show. We're going to each give you 3 plays in the association tonight. And Noops, listen, I've been looking at the NBA models, the NBA betting model, the prop model, and we've been doing really good. I've been giving some of those out also on the Sirius XM show. And let me tell everybody first, Noops, the value of the prop shop is absolutely incredible. Yesterday, for example, I hit a Vucevic over, so that was clean sailing, no problem. I think he scored like 23 points. Another guy we were on was actually an under on Benedict Mathurin. Okay, and earlier in the day, it was 18.5. Later on in the day, there were some books that moved it up to 19.5. Don't you know the man finishes with 19 points in a game against the Cleveland Cavaliers? It's like crazy, Noops. Like, how are they that good setting these lines?
It really is unbelievable, and it just speaks to the power of data and what all these people can do. But like you said, you start with just the basics of betting. One of the first things you tell somebody, get as many books as possible because you have to be able to price shop. We're talking about a lot of player props, a lot of NBA lines, and they're very fluid situations. A lot of people are used to say NFL lines on Sunday morning after a week. Pretty much everyone has the same number, but there's a couple props we're going to talk to today. I know that one of them given out is priced at plus 165 at one book. If I go to another book, it's plus 105. That is a
Really?
huge difference in price. And again, if you go in the prop shop, you can find those places. And it just doesn't in your head, the difference between 110, 120 doesn't sound huge, but over the long run, that really builds up. And that's what this is all about. It's about finding fine edges and stacking as many little percentages as we can on top of each other. So you got to get the best price, and the prop shop's one of the best ways to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you talk about the difference between 110, 120. That might not be something, but you're talking about 110 to 160. That certainly is. And I'm not here to unit shame anybody, right? Because 110 to 120 maybe isn't a big deal. You're betting $10, you're betting $25, you're betting $5. But if you're betting 100, you're betting 500, you're betting a stack or something like that, then all of a sudden it absolutely matters. So you got to go on over to the prop shop, and you got to go on over to get our tools. If you're not down, use the promo code FTN show. You can get a little bit of discount. Start the new year off right, whether you are the fantasy player or the sports gambler. All right, I'm going to kick it off here. And I like this one. And I had to double check because this guy had missed his last 5 games with a heel injury, and it looks like he is back. I'm talking about Keontae George for the Utah Jazz against the Charlotte Hornets, but I'm going under, Noops. I'm going under 22.5 points, okay? Now, listen, he's at 15.6 points per game a year. All right, so that's well under this number. I know Markkanen and others may be out, and he may return to being a primary scorer, but I'm not so sure he's going to get to 23. He's gone under this number in 9 of his last 11 games, Noops. And like I said, he's missed his last 5, right? With that heel injury, he hasn't played since January 4th. So in his return, I don't know that he gets a full complement of minutes. I don't know that he gets all the minutes he's going to need to get up to this number, okay? You put that with the fact that he is an inefficient scorer, an inefficient shooter, and I'm not sure he gets there. Also, the Charlotte Hornets, they're one of the slower paced teams, Noops, in the NBA. They're bottom 10 in terms of pace with only 97 possessions a game. You put it all together. I also looked at our NBA model over at FTN. We are projecting him for only 17 points in this one. 5 points under the number. That represents a 17% edge. Usually when I look at the prop tool, I see numbers that are 10, 11% edges, and I still like those. I still like the hit rate on those. When I see something at 17%, I zoom to the number, and I think you could do that with Keontae George just because he usually doesn't get there. I don't think he's playing a ton of time in his return from the heel injury, Noops. What do you say?
I like this look quite a bit. You're right. Coming off a heel injury, we don't know what kind of shape he's in. He hasn't been running, I assure you of that. Yes,
Yeah.
everyone is out tonight, but this Hornets team that plays slow has 2 of the better perimeter defenders in the league in Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges. Keontae George is going to have the ball in his hands. He is going to be in charge of everything. Usage is usually good, but like you said, the efficiency is not going to be there given his physical condition and given the fact that he is going to have at least one guy on him the whole game that's taller, longer, and just as fast as him.
All right, fair enough. Let's go to another game where we both have plays. It is the Atlanta-Chicago game on this one. You're going to a guy that you think will be picking pockets left and right.
I do, and I just want to double check some numbers here. I hate to talk about something as a free square. There is no better way to judge it, but I'm just going to say it. Dyson Daniels, 3+ steals. You could go down and you look at his game log: 3, 3, 2, 3, 5, 3, 1, 6. Just does it time and time again. He is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Teams had adjusted at a certain point, in the same way a cornerback in the NFL games, teams will just stop throwing to that side of the field. Teams were better with the ball with him. He is adjusted and found ways basically to come through and hunt steals because he knows that's what's important for him to do. I look over at our model here at FTN. You go into the same game parlay tool. What I love about that is it gives you the projection, but also tells you what we think the price should be. This right now, again, you're looking at it's plus 145. And this is the one I was talking about earlier. This goes as low as plus 110. Now, still some value in that, but you should be able to get plus 140, plus 145. Again, check the prop shop. Make sure you have all the books because we make this, minus 160 day, and that is a huge edge here. So I continue to play this time and time again. I'm waiting. The books are at some point are sharp. They're going to adjust this number eventually, but as long as we keep getting over 2.5 at plus 120 or better, we're going to keep betting it. Tonight is no exception.
All right. I like that to be sure. Like you said, I don't know about free square, but honestly, the guy continues to do so. I may even go with the same game parlay. I may even go conservative and get 2+ steals. And I might pair that with somebody I am on the Atlanta Hawks, and that is Clint Capella to get 10 rebounds in this game. Listen, I know he only averages 9 boards a game, but Jalen Johnson's been out since the beginning of the month, right? So that means more kind of minutes. That means more need for Capella to do his thing on the boards. And the last couple of times, if he plays 26 minutes or more, he's had 11 or more rebounds in those games, okay? The other thing, I love Noob's talking about the pace of the teams. The Atlanta Hawks, the Chicago Bulls are two of the fastest 3 teams in the NBA. They both go to about 103, 104 possessions a game. That means more opportunities for scoring, more opportunities for missed shots, and for rebounds. The Chicago Bulls actually allow the second most rebounds in the NBA at 47 a game. You put it all together, our model also projects Capella to have 12 boards tonight. So that is another game, Noobs, where we're talking about an 18% edge in this one. These are huge edges, double the percentage, quite frankly, that I usually like to cross the threshold of clicking submit in this one. So I think Capella will get to double digits. I think he is the guy in the middle for Atlanta right now. And quite frankly, what he just needs to avoid, in my opinion, is foul trouble. Okay, because if he is on the floor, he will be getting the boards with Johnson out. So I think he gets to 10 rebounds minus 113 over at FanDuel. I told you though, Noops, that Chicago and Atlanta are two of the fastest teams in the NBA. You have a play on a side, and it happens to be on the other fastest team in the NBA. They are down in Texas to take on the Spurs. You're on the Grizz tonight.
Yeah, not just the fastest team in the NBA, one of the best teams against the spread in the league. This Grizzlies team coming into the season, I was really excited about them. They have depth. They have star-level talent. They can go big. They can go small. They have scorers. They have rim protectors. They have shooting everywhere. It's just about everything you could want from a basketball team. Tonight, they go into San Antonio, coming off a loss. They were in Houston the other night, lost a close game to them. I think, again, we're looking at a nice bounce back spot, whereas the Spurs come home from kind of a funky road trip. They were supposed to play the Lakers in their last 2 games. Of course, with everything going on in California, one of those games was postponed, and they did get a chance to play the second game, beat the Lakers pretty handily. But again, hard to assume the Lakers will really focus on that, given everything that's still going on. Again, our hearts and prayers go out to everybody still dealing with all that stuff. The fires are just a mess. But tonight, I think, again, all this adds up for a great spot for Memphis. Again, awful loss, going against the Spurs team, coming home. It's one of my favorite fade spots. Teams, after they come home after a long road trip, they struggle to adjust. It's not just that you're changing gyms. It's that you still had to fly. You're still building up travel fatigue, and you got to come home and deal with everything at home, whether it be your wife, your kids, your businesses, everything you got going on. They've been waiting for you all week. So a lot going on there. It's a great spot to go against the Spurs team there. I think the market is starting to overrate them a little bit. I think giving all the hype that Wembanyama is getting, which is totally deserved, we're starting to see more and more money come in on the Spurs and really pushing their rating up in the market. I don't agree with that. I like this Grizzlies team tonight. I have almost 5-point favorites, so happy to lay 2.5 or 3 if that's what you're looking at now.
All right, we'll take those Memphis Grizzlies. Like I said, Noops in his own calculations has it up to about 4 or 5. So getting the little bit of a value, laying only the 2.5 at San Antonio against the Spurs. Now, Noops, at the beginning of the season, one of the bets I made with you literally every single week was Boston Celtics Derek White going over on the threes. And listen, honestly, he has been not great lately. And that I think gives us actually an opportunity because this number had gotten to 3.5. Okay, but now because of the last couple of games, it is down to 2.5. As you know, Noobs, Boston by far shoots the most threes in the league. They attempt 49 a game. They make 18 a game. Okay, they shoot it from three in the kind of extreme level, like Dan Campbell going for it on fourth down. Okay, so that is what this team does. Derek White himself, 8th in the NBA in made threes with 125. 5th in the NBA in attempted threes with 330 threes taken so far this season. That is an obscene number. And like I said, he's been struggling recently. He has gone 2 of 22 over his last 3 games. And quite frankly, I think that's why we're getting an opportunity at 2.5 instead of at the usual number of 3.5. The attempts are still there. He's had 10 or more three-point attempts in 5 of his last 6 games. As long as he gets 30 minutes, he's a big part of the rotation. He should get that again. And he's going up against the Toronto Raptors in Toronto. Toronto actually allows the 4th most threes per game in the NBA. They allow opponents to hit over 14 threes a game. If they get 14, the Boston Celtics, guess what? Derek White is going to have 3 of them. We project him to get at least 3 in this one. It is another edge for our FTN models, a little bit lower of an edge, but still we project him to get like 3.2 or something like that. That is still 3. That is still over the 2.5. So we're going Derek White over 2.5 threes. And I was surprised, Dupes, to see the 2.5 number back for Derek White. It has to be a function of him actually not shooting the ball well lately. But I think Toronto is the elixir for those ills for Derek White.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I was making a surprise face there for a second because you said 2.5. I just assumed it was 3.5.
Right.
I was already clicking, looking, trying to find a bet 3.5, and you went 2.5, 2.5.
Yeah.
Got to check this. He's not lying, folks. It's 2.5.
Yeah. So there you go. So I'm going to take that tonight for the Boston Celtics. We got one more to give out. And listen, I remember, I think it was last week, you hit on the under on the Brooklyn Nets team total, I believe it was. And you said you saw it at 101, you saw it at 100, and you were cool with it as long as, it didn't get to double digits, right? As long as it wasn't under 100. In that game, I think Brooklyn scored 98 points. So they did go under. And so you are comfortable betting unders with the Nets, betting unders with their team total, and betting unders with their players. And Zaire is someone who you can go ahead and bet. Like, I know for a fact he's been under in 4 of his last 5 games under his number. The only time he went over was an overtime game against the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, we're talking about a guy for a Nets team that I love betting their team totals under. Now, if D'Angelo Russell's going to be playing, we have to find another angle to attack. D'Angelo Russell is one of the most impactful players in the NBA in terms of totals. What he provides offensively and what he fails to provide defensively makes a big change for this team. So instead of betting team total unders, I'm going to continue to go to players who they're getting a lot of minutes. They're on the floor quite a bit, but just really inefficient players. And Zaire Williams is exactly that. He's on the floor a lot. He's a good defensive player. Does not shoot the ball much because he shouldn't. He's a very inefficient shooter. Like you said, just want to pull up his game log here so I get these numbers exactly right. You just have time and time again, even when there's high volume, they just don't go in. 4 for 7, 4 for 11, 3 for 8, 4 for 13. I mean, just really poor performance after poor performance. The one game he did go over again was 4 for 11 from the field, but 3 of those were three-pointers and got a bunch of free throws. And in a game tonight, I don't expect him to get fouled very much and get to the line. I don't expect there to be many easy buckets here. So even if he does get up his requisite 8, 9, 10 shots, I don't know how many of them are going in. Certainly not enough to get to 14.5 points here. Like this number quite a bit. We've got him projected to score just 10 and a quarter points there. I mean, we're looking at well over a 10% edge here. I like this quite a bit.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, you were going through his game log. I think in 9 of his last 10 games, he's had 4 field goals or fewer, right? And you talked about the anomaly there. He got to the line and he, kind of shot some threes, but normally speaking, inefficient. And, Brooklyn is not scoring a ton. And also, they're playing the Clippers. The Clippers are one of the better defenses in the NBA. I think their points per game allowed is top 5 in the NBA, to be sure. But whatever you do, whatever props you are playing, remember what Noop said at the top of the show. There are some books that have it at like plus 160. Other places are down to plus 110, plus 105. You need to shop around. And that's one of the best tools over at FTN. We are for the numbers. And one of the things we do is give you what the books are hanging, not only in terms of the actual prop, but in terms of the juice as well. So you got to shop around. Why pay minus 120 when you can get the same exact bet elsewhere at plus 110, plus 115? You are saving yourself some money. And like Noop said, over time, it will certainly help your balance. All right. So that'll do it for us today. Remember to go on over to the prop shop. Remember, sign up for FTN Fantasy. Promo code FTN Show is a great one to use. You'll get access to the Discord, which Noop's talked about all the time. Great bets going in there live. You get access to our stats hub for the NFL season. We made that free over Wildcard Weekend. A lot of people, positive feedback left and right, saying how much they love having access to some of those stats and all sorts of other tools and content over at FTN, including Noops. What do we got with you? Noops, Hoops with Noops, as usual?
Plenty going on always. We got Hoops with Noops. We're doing first touchdown scores from every game. But just to add, the other part about the prop shop is you got to be signed up for books. I know a lot of people, they're just FanDuel and DraftKings. I love FanDuel and DraftKings. But you noticed a lot of our bets go other places. So if you go into the prop shop, you find a better number and you haven't signed up yet, go back to the main FTN page. And you don't even have to be a subscriber for this. You have access to plenty of sign-up bonuses that are above and beyond what you're going to be able to get by yourself. You know, instant deposit matches up to 100%, a lot of good stuff there. So again, you should sign up for FTN. You're basically leaving money on the table by not being part of this group, by not being in the Discord, having access to the tools, but you're leaving even more free money on the table. If you're not going to come in, check for the best price and make sure that you're signed up for every single book, because the price is only good if you can bet it.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to have all of the options available to you so that when we show you that there is a place where better line, better juice, whatever the case may be, you can go ahead and access it. But to be sure, FTN is the place to be. We got always promo codes out there giving you discounts, and we always have deals and so much other content. I mean, we're getting into college basketball where our guy Mike Randall absolutely crushes it. The Australian Open is going on right now where Noops is hot. Our guy Josh Gross is out there as well. And we're going to be getting into the PGA Tour season where our guy Alex Blickel is completely holding it down. We will also be back here next week. I'm not sure exactly what day, but that's why you got to be subscribed. Okay, that's why you got to like what you see right now. Hit that like button and subscribe. This way, when we do go live, you get an alert. It's basically an alert to win money. Who doesn't want an alert to win money? So I think you need to do that as well. For my guy Noops, I am merely the spitting statistician Dane Martinez, and this is another edition of the NBA Betting Show in the books here for FTN. We'll see you guys. Peace.